Hello everyone and welcome to today's tutorial on Agentic AI coding with Claude. In this tutorial, we'll be building an agentic coding assistant powered by Claude's Anthropic AI. It's like creating your own AI developer that can read and write code files, search through codebase, run terminal commands like npm, git, ls, etc., install dependencies, and run tests. And most importantly, it is going to decide what to do next on its own. So we are going to build all of this with the help of Node.js. Now, if you want to learn more about it, watch this video till the end. Now, before we move ahead, here's the agenda of our today's session. We are going to start with an introduction. Then we are going to understand our folder structure of this project. Moving ahead, we are going to also create subfolders in the respective folder structure. And finally, we are going to run our project. Before we commence, if you are interested in mastering the future of technology, the professional certificate course in generative AI and machine learning is a perfect opportunity for you. This course is offered in collaboration with ENICT Academy and IIT Kanpur, and this 11-month live and interactive program provides hands-on expertise in cutting-edge areas like generative AI, machine learning, and tools such as ChatGPT, DALL-E 2, and Hugging Face. You're going to gain practical experience through 15 plus projects, integrated labs, and live masterclasses delivered by esteemed IIT Kanpur faculty. Alongside earning a prestigious certificate from IIT Kanpur, you'll also receive official Microsoft badges for Azure AI courses and career assist through Simplilearn's Job Assist program. So guys, hurry up now and join the course. The course link is mentioned in the description box. Now, before we move on, there's a short quest to test your knowledge. So guys, can you tell which team created Claude? Your options are OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google, or Microsoft. Please mention your answers in the comment section below. Now, before we start the tutorial, I request you guys that do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon so that you don't miss out any update from our end. So let's get started. So guys, let us first understand what is Claude. Claude is a next generation AI platform which helps you in assistance. So you can type anything. For example, you can take a code from your given project. Let's say it is somewhere around a Python script and you're facing some errors. Just put it on Claude and the next thing you get is the output. So you can see it's a very amazing tool. It helps you in a lot of tasks. So in this project, what we will be doing is we are going to take the API key from the Claude. Okay. So if you want to try out Claude, just right click all over here. And if you want to search the API key, so you can just type Claude API and just navigate to Claude Developers Platform. Okay, so there you can get your own API. For this project, you'll be requiring an API key. For this, the chargeable fees would be around $5. So you can go to the Claude's website and you can just generate your own API key. So you can see all over here, after right clicking, it is going to generate your API key. And the same API key we are going to use in our project. So I hope so guys, it's clear to you. Now, in this project, what we are basically doing is, you can see all over here, we are going to create an assistant with the help of Claude. And you can see there is a one file sandbox, which will be, the files will be generated all over here by the chat assistant. So in this, the Claude is going to act as an anonymous software engineer by thinking and planning and also calling tools, to, approach the given problem, refine the approach also, and it is going to do the specific task as you assign it step by step. So you would have a question right now, what exactly are we building? So we are setting up a local tool calling framework, which includes a run agent, a loop that sends your task to Claude. Like, let's say, for example, you ask it to create a to-do app and this agent is going to do it. It is also going to execute tools such as read, write, shell commands and all those things. And then it is going to feed the results back to the Claude. So, and after, as it performs its task, it is going to log everything in real time. So it sounds amazing, right? And also we will have one of these files, we call it as tools. So you can see this given folders, these will be reusable functions like read file, write file, searching the code base, or running shell or installing dependencies. So by creating these given files, this is going to handle all its tasks, even running the test also. And all the tool inputs will be validated using the Zod schemas. So guys, this tutorial requires Claude models integration. So we could get a response from Claude saying a JSON response, for example, run this tool with this input, and you can handle that request in the code and return the result. And the loop continues again and again. So that we will be executing. We are going to understand everything step by step. Now, let us try to understand the given project structure. Now, if you see this given file, sandbox, all over here, so this is where all the coding will be done by the agent. Then you can see there is another file called logs file. So this is going to store Claude's thoughts, tool calls, and the result. And you can see I have run a project. So you can see there's one file all over here. The next, you can see under the SRC, we have another folder, tools. So under this, we have these respective files, fstool.ts, index.ts, searchtool.ts, shelltools.ts, types.ts. So basically, here we are going to write all our tool implementation. For example, the shell tools, the fs tools, which will be very, very much important for this project. Then you can see under the SRC, we have one more folder, which is called agent. Now, this is the folder which is going to create the brain, basically a run agent, so that any task you assign it, it is going to run. And it is going to have the Claude's connection also all over here. Now you can see I have two JSON files all over here. The first one is package.json and the second one is tsconfig.json. So if you open this file, basically what we are doing is we are creating all the important aspects of our application, like how do we start, how we build, okay, for the development, what is the things to be included, okay. Now all the dependencies involved all over here. So these will be the given thing. Now for our given tutorial, these are the respective dependencies that we have installed. Anthropic AI SDK, version 0.63, then Chalk, then we have .env, then we have Exisa, we have Fast Glob library, we have Nanoid, we have Pretty Bytes, and we have Zod. And there are some dev dependencies like type node, ts node, tsx, and TypeScript. So these will be the given important thing that will be required in our package.json. Now you can see we have another file that is tsconfig.json. So this is going to set up our ES modules and type safety things which will be required in the project. And you can also see we have a .env file which will be very, very much important. So you can see all over here we are going to store our API key which you are going to get from the Claude's platform, and also the model name, the model version which you are using. So for this project, we are using Claude Sonnet 4 202.505.14. Now this was a brief introduction for this given project structure. I hope so it's clear to you. Now let us set up our projects. So guys, as you can see, I have already installed my node and all those things. But in order to get a folder structure like this, for example, to create log file, to create sandbox, to create agent, runtime, and tools, what you can do is first initialize the package.json. So for this, you can type npm init y. And next, what you can do is you can create subfolder under this main folder. So you can see type mkdir p src agent, src tool, src runtime, and then sandbox and logs. So all your logs, sandbox, and the tools and the runtime agent file is going to get created. Now this is pretty simple step. Now guys, the next step is installing all those dependencies. So type npm install, then Anthropic AI SDK, Chalk, .env, Exisa, Fast Glob, Nanoid, Pretty Bytes, and Zod. These are the very important dependencies that we'll be needing in our project. Then let us set up our ts.config. So for setting up ts.config, you need to type npm install /d, then @types node, ts node, then tsx, and then TypeScript, so that the TypeScript code that we are using is completely understood by this given compiler. So these are some of the pretty basic, setup things that we have done. Now, before we move ahead, let us try to understand how our project is working. So you can see index.ts is our main file. it is going to load the .env file where our cloud API key is there. Then it is going to create a sandbox if it is not present. It is going to read user provided task. Let's say if you give any task to the given assistant, it is going to use that. It is going to call the agent from the loop.ts file. It is going to start coding, calling tools, or iterating, or any task based on what you have given it. So it's like you're creating your own agent. For example, like if I run in the command something like npm run dev, create a markdown to HTML converter, our agent will start working on that. Sounds pretty amazing, right? And also it is going to read the task. It is also going to ensure that the sandbox folder is ready. It is going to call our run agent, and then the Claude can start creating files inside the sandbox. It is going to write the code, run the code, and also run the test, and it is going to iterate until it's done. So that's our given project that we are doing all over here. So in a nutshell, now let us start with this file. This is very much important file, that is tool.ts. Let us try to understand this. Now the first file that we have created is fstool.ts. So guys, you can see we have done the particular import, this from promises, this from path, this from fast glob, then sandbox from runtime/path, then schemas from type. Okay, so these are the respective things that we'll be creating. Okay, for now we have written something like this. Since I have already written it, so it's not throwing error, but when you start doing the development, it might throw you error. So these are the given imports that we'll be needing. So this code actually defines 3 file related tools. Okay, the first one is list file, second one is read file, and the third one is write file. So that Claude can use to interact with the file system inside a control sandbox directory. And all these 3 functions are asynchronous. They rely on the fast glob for pattern-based file matching, and fs/promises for non-blocking file operation. And you can see we are also using Zod all over here. So for basically the Zod schemas, so that we can validate and parse the input arguments. So you can see all over here. Now let us try to decode this list file function. So this function takes a pattern. Let's say ** or /star.ts or *.md. So and list the matching files in the sandbox, and it is going to use the fast glob. Okay, so it is using this basically to perform the matching and ensuring that it works with the nested files and the hidden files also, for example the .env file that we have created, and results a list of matching file paths. Then we have this given file, which is the read file. And this function reads a specific file from the sandbox. It expects the relative path, constructs absolute path by joining it with the sandbox base. And then it reads the file content in UTF format. And it returns the file's content, its path, and the number of bytes it contains. So that's pretty amazing. And finally, we have write file function. So this function, guys, writes the content to a file in a sandbox. It ensures that the required folders exist by calling fs.mkdir with the recursive true. Okay, which means that it is going to write the content to the target file, and it returns the path and byte size of that written content. Now, these functions, guys, are very much vital and building blocks of the Claude's agent toolset. So it is allowing it to read, create, and manage files during task execution, all while being confined to sandbox for safety and control. Now, the next file that we have is search_tool.ts. Now, it has very much important function that is called search code base. So this function is a part of an AI agent toolkit, basically from Claude, that lets it search through the source code files and find lines that contains specific keywords or phrase. So technically this is happening. So basically what we are doing is we are doing a schema parsing and validation. So you can see we have written const query, glob, and then schemas search codebase.parse argument. And it uses a Zod, which is a TypeScript first schema validation library, which is going to check whether the argument contains valid properties like query, what is a search keyword, for example, auth, or let's say microservices. And then it has something other parameter, which is glob. So which is a file matching pattern. For example, let's say you're trying to find a TypeScript based file. Okay, so all of these things are being mentioned. Now, what is the use of this is that it helps avoid runtime errors by validating inputs before using them. Next is what we are doing is a pattern-based file search, basically glob pattern matching. Now you can see all over here, what I have written all over here is constant files await fg glob cwd sandbox dot true. Now this is what it is doing is this is performing the pattern-based file search. So fg is referring to the fast glob, which is a utility that is matching the file path using the glob patterns. For example, the pattern that I discussed you, for example, the TS pattern for finding the TypeScript based files. And it is going to do it. Next, what we are trying to do is we are creating a variable called hits. And this is an array in which I have the path, the number, and the text. Now you can see all over here, we have declared this variable called hits. Okay, so all the result will be stored in this given array, so that when we are doing a for loop to search for these respective files, basically, for example, in this context, we are trying to read the file content. So you can see here we have added const content await fs.read file full in the UTF format. Now, what it is doing exactly? So it is asynchronously reading the file content as a UTF-8 encoded string. And fs/promises is a modern promise-based file system module in Node.js. So this makes the entire application kind of non-blocking, making the program fast and also efficient. Then what we are trying to do is we are trying to do splitting and searching line by line. So you can see all over here we have declared constant lines content.split. Then there's a regular expression. So we are splitting the entire file content into lines. And we are using regular expression for the same. So if you don't know about regular expression, no worries. You can use the same thing. And what it is saying that it is going to handle Unix-based file systems and also Windows-based file systems. Next, you can see all over here we have a case-based repeat. Next thing, what you can see all over here, we have a case insensitive matching. So basically, what this is doing is this is converting both of the lines or the query to lowercase to do a case insensitive match, which is very much important. And finally, it is going to hit the query and it is also returning the hits. So this is what this search tool.ts is doing. Now you can see all over here lines for each line, line.i, if line.to lowercase include query to lowercase, hits.push path relative line i+1 text line.slice 0 to 240. Now what this is doing is, so for every match, it is going to create an object with its relative file path. And also what it is going to do is, it is going to start from 1, okay? And then what is going to happen? It is going to have a 240 character preview of the matching line. And finally, you can see it is returning query, hits. So basically, it is sending a JSON-like object that contains the original search keywords and all the found results. So this is the two repeat. So in context of this given file, that's why this given file is very much important. So I hope so you would have got the idea why we are writing this given file. Now let us move ahead and try to understand the shell tools.ts. Now this is a shell module, and this module defines 3 key utilities. For example, run, shell, and installing dependencies and also running tests, which allows the AI agent to interact with the system shell environment in a controlled and a safe way. To avoid security risk, the function isSafe ensures only a whitelist of approved commands like node, npm, cat, git to be allowed to be executed. So you can see these are the safe prefixes that we have declared. Now, if you go all over here, export const run shell. So this is our main function. So this takes a command cmd, and what it's going to do is it is going to take it as an input, and it first checks if the command is safe or not. So we have created one function is safe. Now then it executes inside the sandbox directory using Xisa. Now what is Xisa? It is a modern alternative to child process, basically that provides a better promise-based control and output capturing, and it returns a standard output like with exit code and all those things, so that AI agent can reason about. Now the next function is install deps function, which is specialized for installing dependencies. It parses the list of packages, constructs an npm install command using npm-i, and runs it inside the sandbox. Now this enables the AI agent to dynamically add required Node.js libraries while generating the code. And lastly, it runs test triggers like npm tests silent, a common script defined in the package.json. Okay, I'll show you, to quietly run the automated test, basically using Jest library. Now this helps the agent to verify whether the generated code works as expected or not. So guys, all these three functions that we have discussed relies on Xisa for clean shell execution and also operate strictly on the sandbox directory to isolate the activity and maintain file safety. So I hope so guys, you would have got a brief idea regarding this file. Now let us look at types.ts. Now this file is responsible for defining the data validation schemas for each of the tools or commands that the cloud coding agent can run on. So basically it uses the Zod library, which is a powerful TypeScript first validation tool, to strictly define what kind of input is expected for each tool. For example, the read file schema expects a single string file called path that points to a file inside the sandbox. Similarly, there's a list file schema that allows an optional pattern which is defaulting to this route, and it uses a glob syntax to match these files. Now, for the commands like run shell, the schema ensures that only a single line of string command and a current working directory are passed. And installing dependency is going to check that at least one package name is given in an array. And then the search code base takes a search string, basically a query, and a glob pattern defaulting to files like search.js or ts files. And finally, it is going to run test that doesn't expect any input at all. So guys, its schema is just an empty object. Now this file ensures that before any function like run shell, read file, etc. is executed, the arguments that are passed are validated. If invalid data is passed in, it's caught early and won't crash the app, so that any future bugs don't come up. Now this is very much important in AI agentic workflows where AI might generate unexpected or incorrect inputs, and Zod is acting as a safety net all over here. So I hope so guys, you would have got a brief idea regarding the functions used inside the subfolder tools. Now let us explore the runtime subfolder, so in which we have a file called path.ts. Now this file is defining and all the exports and important constants that are used throughout the Claude Agentic AI project, basically to manage the file path. So first it is importing path. So this imports Node.js built-in path module, which is used safely to join or manipulate file path across different operating systems like Windows, Linux, or macOS. Then you can see in the next line we are exporting the root process.cwd. So this is returning a current working directory from where the Node.js process is running. So this becomes the base path for your entire project, and all other paths are relative to this. Then you can see we are exporting the sandbox. So what this is going to do is, this is setting up a path to a folder named sandbox inside our root project, which is Claude Agentic. And this is where the AI agent is going to write the code, create files, or execute commands in a safe and isolated environment. Think of it like a playground for the agent. And all the read and write operations are restricted to this folder to prevent any unintended changes to your real project files. And finally, you can see there is a log. So we are exporting log. So this points to the logs folder in our project directory. It can be used to store execution logs, debugging information, or error traces. So this is where its importance is there. Now let us move ahead to the agent file. So in this, we have two files named claude.ts and loop.ts. Now if you open the claude.ts file, so this file defines the core Claude chat handler function, which is used in our coding agent project. So you can see we have created something like this: const client, new anthropic, and here we are extracting our API key from the env file. So this line is initializing our API key, which is fetched from the given file, which is in the .env, and then we are trying to use the model, which model we are using. So basically we have given this model, or it is using, if it's not present, then it can use the older model also. Then we can use the async function all over here. So what this given function it is doing is, so it is defining the certain things. So guys, this is exported async function in our core interface for sending prompts and receiving replies from Claude. So it takes a list of structured messages as a parameter input, and typically in combination with user and assistant message, it is able to pass them to Claude. Now, for example, you can see here we have given like what are the maximum tokens, what is the temperature, and then here it's written the directives like you are an agentic coding assistant, work inside the sandbox directory only, follow the tight loop plan called tools, and run the test. So this is the given the directive or the workflow that we have created for this agentic AI. And then finally we are reflecting and moving up towards the next step. Then it uses the JSON tools to call exactly what's needed. So one tool per possible. And then we have also given a very important directive that not to fabricate the file contents, means not to change anything if it's there. And after each step, what you have done, explain what changed and why. So that seems like a very decent workflow for this project. Then you can see we have this another file which is called as loop.ts. Now in this given file, what we have done is we have created a very important function which is called as run agent function. Now this function is going to let Claude take control of the coding task by receiving your task. For example, you say create a to-do CLI app, and from there the agent is going to take the thing and it is going to ask Claude to think about what to do next. So it is basically letting Claude call tools like read, write files, run shell commands, install packages, etc. And it is logging every step. And finally, it is repeating until the task is marked as done. So you can think this file like a smart loop where Claude plays a role of a self-directed developer. So you can see in the step 1, it creates a log file, await fs mkdir logs recursive true. Then it logs the path, okay? And then it creates logs/folder if it's not already there. Basically, it's preparing a file to save every conversation step with Claude. Then it is starting the conversation. So in the step 2, what we are trying to do is we are going to create a variable called messages, and we say it as internal message. And let's say the role be user. And we discuss about the content. What is the content? What is the task? So it works under only the sandbox directory that we have created. So let's say Claude is given any simple task, like for example, the instruction, and all this file operation must stay inside this. Now in the step 3, it is looping through each thought or action. So here, Claude gets the maximum step tries to complete the given task. So that you can see all over here, we have applied the loop. And in the step 4, what we are trying to do is we are trying to filter the messages for Claude. So you can see I've created a variable const filtered message.filter m, and where Claude message equals to m.role user and m.role assistant. So this means that Claude only accepts messages from user and assistant roles only. And these internal messages are like tools that are kept out of the chat. Important file. So you can see we have imports all over here. Import tool registry from tools. Then we have import chat with Claude from Claude file. And then we have fs from fs/promises. Then we have path from path. Then we have logs from runtime path. And finally, we are importing chalk. Now, let us recap once again what tool registry is for. So tool registry is a collection of available tools your agent can call. And you can see chat with Claude is a function to talk to Claude LLM. And if you look at fs/promises, this is a file system function, like for example, mkdir, append file, etc. But these are promise based. Next one, we have path. So path is a utility to work with file paths. Then we have logs, and you can see it is a directory path constant where logs will be saved. Then we have chalk. So these are the color console output. Like for example, your console can be like cyan, yellow, green, etc. Now let us explore all over here. So we have type Claude message, role user, assistant, and content any. So what does this mean? So this means that only roles that Claude can accept is the role user or assistant. So it is defining the role that Claude can accept. So each message also has a content. So you can see all over here, this is extra role tool for internal loop. And this is not sent to the Claude. So every message has a content also. Now, if you see this code block, this represents a tool request that Claude might output. For example, type, tool use, name, read file, input, let's say it could be ID, and let's say 123. So it could be in a format of JSON, and it is like basically sent to the Claude. So let's say, for example, and this is sent to the Claude. Now let us come to the main part of our function, that is run agent function. Okay, now this is our main function. So you can see we have exported async function, run task string, maximum steps 12. So there will be 12 iteration. Now we are doing a promise all over here. So what is this all about? So basically it is creating the log folder if it does not exist. And it prepares a log file with a given timestamp name. And you can also see there is an initial message all over here, and in which we have the role user, content your task, work only under the sandbox. So it is giving a directive, like when it starts a conversation with Claude, the first message tells Claude that a task, and it restricts it to the sandbox folder only. Now you can see we have a loop all over here. So each loop represents one Claude response plus possible tool execution. And then you can see we are filtering the message for Claude. Now you can see all over here, at this time, it is trying to check for tool request. So constant tool call response.content find, c.any, c.type, and basically it is giving a strict equality for the tool use. So Claude response can include like structured block basically for the tool use, and this is extracting the first tool request if present. And if no tool is requested, you can see there is a negation call all over here. So it means that if Claude just replied with the text only, no tool call, so it is going to combine the response into plain text and print it in cyan. So cyan is a color for the console, and it is also going to add a response to the message. And if Claude said it is done or task completed, then the loop is going to stop. Otherwise, the loop is going to continue. Now, at this step, what it is happening is it is trying to extract the tool name and input from the block. And then it is printing yellow, which the tool is called with what is the input. And finally, it is running the given tool. Then you can see we have the exception handling done all over here. So there is a try block. And in this try and catch block, what we are trying to find out is that it looks up the function in the tool registry. If found, it is going to run it with the input. If not, it is going to throw the error, like it is going to throw an error object. And finally, it is going to show the result. And you can see it is printing the result in gray. And finally, it is going to save the given state. Now, if you see all over here, so what is happening at this stage? So at this stage, it is adding Claude response to the messages. It is going to add a tool message with the result so that Claude can see the tool's output in the next step. And finally, the loop is ending. So in a nutshell, if I have to say, after the loop is finishing or the task is done, it is going to print a success message. And also it is going to show where the logs are saved. So in a nutshell, these code run an agent loop. It is sending the message to the Claude, and if the Claude replies with the text, it shows it. And if Claude is requesting a tool, it is going to run it and log the result and feed back to the Claude. And it is going to repeat until the task is completed or max steps are reached, which we have included 12 all over here. So this is all about our log file. Now let us try to run this project. Now guys, let us try to run this project. So you have to type npm run dev, and after that you are going to see output something like this. Your Claude agent would have started working, and you can see in the step 1, this is iteration 1, it is going to create a Node.js CLI tool, which is basically converting CSV to JSON. So this was the target or the task which I gave to this agent, and you can see it has started planning, and then it is starting the function calls, and it is doing all these activities inside this sandbox folder. And it has also created a read.md file all over here. We are going to explore it. And then you can see it is trying to do all these things, and it is making a CLI script to create a Node.js CLI. Then it is trying to do the testing also. And so these were the function calls. Finally, it is installing all the dependencies by itself. And Let us go to the end, and you can see it is trying to test the given thing. So it is sending the given file all over here, and this is a CSV file, and you can see there are certain dependencies it has downloaded, like CSV parser and jest for testing dev dependency. And finally, all over here, this is a step 2. It is trying to iterate and testing the given thing, whether it's working or not. And it has done a lot of things by itself. And finally, it is giving you a snapshot all over here that test suits 1 passed, total test 4. And you can see the time it has taken to deliver this task. And also you can see that this is, what it has done is that it has again send it the data. You can see all over here based on the given file it has given. So it says it has converted a CSV to JSON format, and again there is a reiteration happening. So it is going to reiterate until and unless it is getting the exact results. So let us go till the end, and you can see it has done all those things. So in the step 3 only it has given us. Rest of the iterations were not needed. So it has passed all the tests. The CLI is working perfectly with this data. Error handling is also done. It is helping system display properly, and file output is also working properly. So guys, let us now explore the read.md file, and let us see. Now if you can see the read.md file, here the agent is going to do all the tasks. Finally, the given thing is completed. So guys, this was all about our project doing the agentic coding with Claude. I hope so you would have enjoyed this video. And if you like these kind of videos, then do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell icon so that you don't miss out any video.